It has been a long time since we last met. I don't know what feud you have with this goblin, but he's my servant. Sherlock released his grasp of the octopus devil's hand and pushed Not Wearingpants behind him. At the same time, he exerted his dominance so that the three gamers were unable to move or speak. To the three gamers, it wasn't Sherlock's dominance that prevented them from moving, it was the start of the plot animation. Sherlock, the octopus devil, looked at Sherlock as though he had grievances, but he kept quiet and left. After the octopus devil left, Sherlock waved at the three gamers behind him. That's an irritating fellow, but he has little to do with Eternal Kingdom. Hope that we won't meet him again. Let's go, Arthur, Sylvanus, Not Wearingpants. Your mission is complete. We have obtained sufficient funding and commendation. We should return back to Eternal Kingdom. Sherlock intended to obtain financial support via loans or investments, but it wasn't feasible to obtain a loan, and the investment requirements were too stringent. Though the conference was about sharing experience, Sherlock had nothing to share except for his experience about his insane gamers. Sherlock didn't return empty-handed, however. He had found a suitable mission that he could entrust to the Underworld's gamers. As for buying other items or recruiting magical item producers, alchemists, and enchantment and precious stone talents, Sherlock was not interested after seeing the astronomical price tag. He originally intended to let his gamers show their fearless nature during the loan process so that he could obtain a higher loan. But it wasn't necessary since he was unable to borrow money. Secondly, he had other avenues for earning money. Sherlock didn't want to waste any more time. He had to plan how to work with the Spectre College and come up with plot missions for the gamers. Sherlock found that the gamers were becoming more and more important to him. They could work without pay. As long as Sherlock gave them rewards, they would work diligently. And now, they would even help him earn magic stones. How could Sherlock not love the gamers? The gamers were still keen on exploring the man and were interested in the malevolent octopus devil. That was correct, they were interested. That octopus face was fierce. I wonder if it will be the first boss in the open beta. That's possible. He seems to be closely related to Shalai, but Shalai didn't explain anything to us. It might be another hidden mission. They were discussing similar topics along the way. Sherlock didn't respond to them as usual. He quickly took them to Winterfell and travelled back to Eternal Kingdom via the teleport portal. They were warmly welcomed by the gathered gamers. The gamers surrounded Arthur, Not Wearingpants, and Sylvanus. Everyone was curious. The three selected gamers left for a few hours. What kind of mission did they do? What was it like at the conference? The moment Not Wearingpants arrived at the dungeon, he found a place to lie down and went offline. He was in a hurry to make a post in the discussion forum. He had just returned from the conference, so he had lots of things to share. After Not Wearingpants went offline, Arthur followed suit. That left Sylvanus to be surrounded and bombarded with questions by the gamers. It would take some time for Sylvanus to answer the questions. Sherlock created equipment insurance for the 6 legendary items and gave the teleport tokens to the 3 owners of the legendary items. They could install the teleport tokens within the dungeon. Arthur had gone offline, so the teleport tokens would be handed to him the next time he was online. Sherlock revived some gamers' corpses that he didn't manage to resurrect last time. Then he returned to the dungeon core main hall and brainstormed for the gamers' main plot. He shouted for Brew to help, but Brew replied, the main plot can be anything, as long as the gamers enjoy being the saviors of the world. Without them, the entire Underworld would be finished. Use this as a guide and select the plots that the gamers prefer, like the recent killing of the notorious Crammer. It's cool and awesome. I'm going to do coding for the banking system. It's not that easy. Then Brew remained silent. Sherlock had to depend on himself for the main plot. After racking his brain for 3 minutes, Sherlock browsed the official forum. With his administrator account, he posted the words, "Are there any games that are similar to the Dungeon series?" The post received many replies. King, what? Instead of working, the administrator is skiving. Beware of your pay being docked. Manual comedy. Garden Sunshine, what dungeon? Is that Dungeon and Fighter? Paragraph Cloudress Piano Paragraph, the administrator is asking about the Dungeon series. It's the standalone game made by the German company. I cannot recall the actual name. 33 Cat, heard of the Civilization series. Chiffon Prattle, I am pleading for beta tester status. It's good to have an official live stream of the beta testing. Sherlock refreshed his screen a few times, and the contents were mostly people pleading for beta testing status. Brew. Sherlock closed the forum page and asked, what is the Civilization series? It's a standalone quality game that is about the Underworld's progression of civilization. Is Lord Sherlock keen to try the game? Brew appeared surprised. I'm not keen to play the game. I'm finding inspiration for the main plot, Sherlock explained. Let me suggest, try the game when you're free. This game is very popular in the Underworld. When the gamers started the game, they couldn't stop playing for at least 10 days, Brew said earnestly. Do you think I'm like them? I'm a devil. Brew kept quiet for a while and said, since Lord Sherlock is that insistent. The download icon of Civilization Series.rar appeared on Sherlock's screen, and the download speed was much slower than before. It required more than 50 hours for a complete download. Apologies, Lord Sherlock. I need large amounts of mana to code the banking system, so the resources for downloading stuff is limited. If you can't wait to play. Sherlock quickly said, no worries, let it download at this speed. It was more important for Brew to focus on the banking system. Sherlock minimized the download window and opened the official discussion forum to browse. A few gamers came to purchase private land and beds, but they didn't take up a lot of Sherlock's time. Posts about the Dungeon Lord Experience Sharing Conference appeared on the forum and were created by Not Wearing Pants. A post called Mission, from the beginning to the end of the Dungeon Lord Experience Sharing Conference and speculations about Shall I became the most popular post. Even Sherlock's previous post on the Dungeon series was demoted in terms of popularity. Sherlock opened up Not Wearing Pants' post, which was filled with many pictures. The pictures showed all the creatures and scenery on his journey. There were also captions to explain the pictures. The main contents were about Not Wearing Pants' experience in the conference and emphasized 2 points. First was Shall I's unclear relationship with a succubus NPC and possibly an unusual plot for gamers to discover. Second was a devil with the face of Kulfaz who could possibly be a boss that had to be defeated. This devil has a mysterious relationship with Shall I. When he shouted Sherlock, it was filled with animosity. With such sensational news, an explosion of discussions ensued in the forum. Bachelor with terminal cancer, what's that? We have to give that dog some incentives just to play the online game? Lusty hero saving distressed damsel, the Kulfaz-looking devil doesn't look convincing. If he wasn't of giant size, would he be fear-inspiring? Home Futanary Peony legend, hey previous poster, perhaps the devil hadn't transformed himself? Stargazer's month-old bunny, I had a grand vision of the world view and the countless boss NPCs. We will be fighting the devils and clichés who appeared at the conference. The above board does not give flirty signals. If Shall I doesn't remain single, he will lose a lot of fans. Uok Thundervirus, is there an official novel for this game? Like the Warcraft War of the Ancients. I'm into world views. The gamers were responding excitedly to Not Wearing Pants' post, and they discussed the world view of Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom. Time sped by while Sherlock was browsing the forum. The number of active gamers dwindled, and many gamers went offline. Sherlock looked at the progress of the Civilization download. 5 hours had elapsed, but it was still quite some time before the download was completed. Sherlock pondered if he should play another round of Dungeon. At that time, the Dungeon core emitted a ball of fire, and the letter was spat out. It landed on Sherlock's table. The letter had a skull with the words, "To Eternal Kingdom Dungeon Lord, the respectable Lord Sherlock Spectre College sent, respectable Devil Lord Sherlock. We have received notice from the Special Talent Recruitment Center that your friends intend to apply as competents and participate in the graduation research of the Liches in the new semester. Our college is treating this with the highest priority, and we have sent a staff member to Winterfell. We look forward to discussing the details with you and your friends. We hope that you will confirm the meeting time and location. The following is the contact address of our college's staff member. Winterfell Old District No. 777, Black Shop Hotel, Room 213. Professor Bacon, Academic Deputy Director, Spectre College. Sherlock thought that the Special Talent Recruitment Center and the Spectre College were very efficient. It was less than half a day, and the Academic Deputy Director had already arrived in Winterfell. Sherlock asked Brew to manage the dungeon while he used the teleport scroll to travel to Winterfell. After leaving the teleport portal reception hall, he looked for a Hades horse carriage that had a valid license. Winterfell Old District No. 777, Black Shop Hotel. Please use the meter, thank you. Pa. The horse carriage behind Sherlock cantered off when an old coachman cracked his whip over the Hades horses. In front of Sherlock was a hotel with a signboard, Black Shop. At the hotel entrance, an orc who was scantily clad looked askance at Sherlock. Sherlock wasn't bothered. He walked straight into the hotel. I'm looking for room 213, Professor Bacon, Sherlock said to a gnome receptionist who was busy filing her nails. Okay, please register your name, then proceed to level 21. The right-hand lane is the fast lane, the receptionist said courteously. Sherlock was taken aback. He registered quickly and headed towards the right lane. At the end of the right lane, there was a gnome in a service suit waiting. When he saw Sherlock, he perked up and asked in a shrill voice, Devil Lord, which level are you going? Level 21, thank you. The gnome slapped on the wall, which then started to quake. A hole opened in the middle, and the sticky liquid was stretched into thin lines. It wasn't a wall but a mouth or container that looked like a wall. The inside of the container was covered with wooden planks, and there was a magical lamp. Sherlock walked into the container, and the mouth closed immediately. After a loud bang, it started a free fall exercise as it plunged for 5 seconds before stopping. The mouth opened up, and Sherlock looked at the corridor before him. The numbers 21 were on the sides. Sherlock peered out from the container. Room 213 was within a stone's throw. Do you want to go down? My mouth's tired, the container complained in a muffled voice as Sherlock was peering around. Sherlock walked out, and the container shut itself, looking just like a wall. Part-a, as Sherlock was about to knock on the door of room 213, the door opened by itself. A scantily clad orc gnome walked out of the door while casting flirty gazes inside the room. You're so interesting, Professor. Do call us again. We're leaving. Thank you, Professor, for your hospitality, Tilda. Both of them left the room. When they saw Sherlock, they appeared nervous and walked close to the wall. They stood waiting at the fast lane behind Sherlock. Sherlock felt weird, but he walked to room 213 and knocked on the door. Did you forget your stuff, my little precious? The room door opened, and a skeleton who was emitting black smoke appeared behind the door. He stopped halfway through his speech and looked stunned when he saw a devil by the door. Apologies, you are? Nice to meet you. I'm Devil Lord Sherlock. Sherlock took out the letter from the Spectre College and passed it to the skeleton politely. I found this place according to the address indicated on the letter. Are you Professor Bacon, Academic Deputy Director of the Spectre College? The skeleton looked at Sherlock and gazed at the orc gnome waiting at the fast lane. Then he looked at his own skeleton frame, and his cheekbones blushed. Do come in, Lord Sherlock. Professor Bacon made way for Sherlock to step in. The room was quite high class, with a living room and a bedroom that were filled with a pungent smell. Bags filled with mud were scattered by the tea set. The sofa had a sizable oak pillow, and the bed was a mess. It looked as though there was a pillow fight. Apologies, I just arrived and am too tired to clean up. You should have informed me earlier so that I could have prepared. Please take a seat while I change my clothes, Professor Bacon said as he entered his bedroom. He came out of the room with a bathrobe. Those two just now, Sherlock pointed outside the door. Those were my sponsored students whose families are poor. They are good students with bright futures. I don't wish to see them disadvantaged because of their poverty. They knew I came to Winterfell and came to thank me. Do you understand me? Professor Bacon said as he brewed a cup of blood chrysanthemum tea for Sherlock. He sat on the sofa and threw the pillow behind him as if nothing had happened. Understand, I fully understand. Sherlock nodded and said sincerely, it's rare to find a spectre like Professor Bacon, someone who is compassionate and has high integrity. It's good to help destitute students. Now, let's discuss the competence of the Lachey's graduation research. Yes, let's discuss the important affairs. How many of your friends will be taking part in the graduation research? Professor Bacon extended his hand and pressed his thumb and index finger together as if he was squeezing something. In our recruitment notice, we stated that there's danger, just a little bit of danger. Creatures lose their lives every year. Our college has a limited budget, so high remuneration and compensation are out of the question. Don't worry, Lord Sherlock, the remuneration won't be that low either. I know those from the Special Talents Recruitment Center. I would like to know how many creatures your college is recruiting, how much they are paid, and how long it lasts, Sherlock asked. As the college is the largest spectre organization in the northern underworld, more than half of the Lachey's graduate from our college. Every year, there are many graduates, so we intend to recruit 1,000 creatures, and the remuneration is 100 magic stones. The duration is 10 months to completion, assuming there are no deaths. If all of them perish, then we would have to recruit again, and the duration would be off. Professor Bacon sighed. The recruitment of these talents takes up a lot of time. Even the surface wars and the Underworld wars take a short time. For the past tens of years, there has been no successful completion within 3 months, and the annual graduation is dragged on for a long time. The longest time was over 10 years. It's not easy being an academic deputy director. It is indeed hard on you, Sherlock said with empathy. How many of your friends are applying? If the number is large, I can apply to the college to pay you commission, Lord Sherlock, Professor Bacon said as he lifted the cup of bloody chrysanthemum to his mouth. The chrysanthemum flowed down the mandible and dripped on the sofa and floor. To be honest, I would like to undertake the entire recruitment requirement for this year's graduation research. If possible, I would like to create a long-term collaboration with your college. The scope of the collaboration wouldn't be limited to research, Sherlock said earnestly as Professor Bacon gaped in astonishment. He was stunned for a long while before saying, Lord Sherlock wishes to undertake the recruitment requirement for this year's graduation research. Perhaps Lord Sherlock didn't understand my intention. We don't accept powerful creatures since the graduating Lacheys are far inferior to mature and experienced Lacheys. If the combatants are too strong, the Lacheys might not be able to fend for themselves, and then we would be unable to assess their capabilities. Hence, we would like to recruit orcs or gnomes. A superior devil like you might not be a suitable candidate. Apologies, Professor, you have mistaken my intention. I'm not participating. My friends are taking part. Sherlock shook his head as he replied. Pardon my question, but who are your friends? Gnomes, orcs, are there enough of them? Don't they require death compensation? Professor Bacon asked worriedly. My goblin friends, Sherlock answered. After Sherlock finished speaking, it became dead quiet. Professor Bacon straightened his body. Then he folded his arms to support his chin and leaned on the sofa twice, making bone-scraping sounds. Sherlock was patient. He crossed his legs and sipped his thick, fragrant, and bloody chrysanthemum tea. You're saying, Professor Bacon stood up and paced in the room. Your goblin friends are taking part in the graduation research. Apologies, Lord Sherlock. Perhaps you've misunderstood my intention. I didn't make it clear. The capability of the combatants cannot be too strong or too weak. I'm afraid the goblins might not be up to the job. If the goblins become the targets of the Lacheys, the college might prefer to set up more scarecrows instead. Professor Bacon had made his intentions clear, and he tried not to be offensive. If the creature sitting opposite wasn't a superior devil drinking tea, Professor Bacon would have pointed at his nose and asked, Are you treating me like a fool? Don't be mistaken, Professor. My friends and I aren't looking down on the college, and we don't have the intention of fooling you. I know you're prejudiced against goblins, and I don't like them either, but my goblin friends are different. Sherlock put down the cup of tea and clasped his hands at his knees before saying, To be exact, these goblins are my dungeon servants. Though they are servants, I treat them as friends. Their lifespans are long, their status in society isn't high, and they often die in accidents. However, they have ideals and goals, and their capabilities are strong. Though they can't be compared to the gnomes and orcs, they are able to handle the spirit legion conjured by the novice Lacheys. They are also resilient. They enjoy challenging themselves and doing the impossible. 100 magic stones is more than enough for a goblin, as his compensation is only 50 magic stones. They won't have any complaints, even if there's a fatality. Also, nobody will complain and cause a negative public opinion, since there is no Goblin Rights Protection Association. Professor Bacon thought for a while and said, Lord Sherlock would like to send your goblins to be cannon fodders. You plan to charge 50 magic stones as their compensation, while you take 50 magic stones as commission? How could I do that? I'm not that kind of person. How would I appropriate 50 magic stones from the goblins? Sherlock said with integrity. Though Lord Sherlock said it with integrity, without a contract, the devil's words weren't reliable. Professor Bacon made a simple calculation. For a dungeon core to recruit a goblin, only a signed contract was required. With the Dungeon Lord's identity, he could deceive them into participating in the research without paying their salary. After they perished, 50 magic stones would be given as compensation. Meanwhile, Lord Sherlock could keep 50 magic stones. This would become an infinite money-making scheme. The crux was whether the college was willing to accept the goblins as the Lichet's opponents. The college was obviously not willing. Lord Sherlock, as you know, I can't make a decision. Please go back and wait a while. I'll convey your proposal to the college. If they are agreeable, I'll inform you straight away. Professor Bacon stood up and said, Professor, I understand your predicament. If you don't try and dismiss my goblin friends straight away, aren't you too dogmatic? Sherlock stood up and said, Since you are here in Winterfell, it will be a pity if you leave. Why don't you give my goblin friends a chance? Lord Sherlock, I would like to give your goblin friends a chance, but the college has rules that I can't break. Professor Bacon shook his ribs and sighed. Professor Bacon, give my goblin friends a chance, and you will have more time to stay in Winterfell for investigation. You're also giving the poor Winterfell female students a chance. I know of a place with many poor and beautiful female students. Sherlock didn't manage to finish his sentence before Professor Bacon's eyes lit up. Where? Professor Bacon felt he was too rash and changed his tune. I mean, where is your dungeon? I'm willing to spend more time to investigate and see if your goblin friends are as good in combat as you claimed. Of course, the Eternal Kingdom welcomes your arrival. I have a small request, Sherlock said. My goblin friends have a special trait. If you appear as a college academic deputy director to investigate, it might not incite their fighting spirit. As you know, the minds of goblins are hard to figure out. If I don't create a sense of mission in them, they might not be willing to participate in the graduation research. Professor Bacon tilted his emotionless skull face as Sherlock edged close to him and said, I'll go back and think of a good solution while Professor Bacon focuses on helping the poor female students in Winterfell. Wait for my letter. The bright rays of the teleport portal illuminated the dungeon core main hall. The gamers, who were carrying bricks diligently, looked in the direction of the portal. As Sherlock walked out, the gamers ran over to him. Some of them showed their coins excitedly while some injured gamers crawled or limped over. I'm buying land. I'm buying land. I want to buy land. Bed. I want a bed. My leg was crushed by the ore. Help me heal my leg, please, shall I can't mine for ore. Shasterisk T. Can't the system give a maintenance notice for the revival system? When is our compensation given? The gamers shouted wildly. There were that many requests just from 100 gamers. The group of goblins looked like a hungry group of pets waiting for Sherlock to feed them. Sherlock completed all their requests. He watched them leave before he went back to his work. The gamers were no longer curious about Sherlock. Though a Devil Lord looked cool and awesome, after long periods of exposure, it was no longer exciting. Who had the time to look at Sherlock? The time was better spent carrying bricks. Is the equipment improved? Is the private land purchased? Is the bed purchased? All required money. As for the compensation, it was Brew who managed it. To show that Eternal Kingdom was a professional game company, the compensation would be sent out the next day at 6 o'clock. Sherlock browsed the forum with ease in the dungeon core main hall. He also had to think of the gamer's main plot and background story. The forum was filled with discussions about the background story of Dungeon. Eternal Kingdom, the relationship between Shalai and the Octopus Devil, the relationship between the succubus and Shalai, Baron Lass's warm attitude towards Shalai, and other trivial content. All these attracted the insane curiosity of the gamers. Though only fragments of information were presented to the gamers, they speculated that the game producers were planning a game with a massive world background. The factions included the various independent dungeons and the Winterfell Merchant Alliance. The gamers speculated on the roles of these factions. Would they be against the gamers or allies of the gamers? The speed of posts refreshing was fast. Pressing F5 would reveal an entirely new page. Only Notweir Inkpunt's detailed mission narration remained consistently on the first page, as the post was continuously being pushed to the top. As Sherlock had already read the post, he wasn't interested in it. He browsed other posts in the forum and noticed a post which was constantly being pushed to the top. The topic was regarding Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom, speculation and analysis of the first instance dungeon. Spider Queen, Octopus Devil, or Lassie? Brew, Sherlock shouted at Brew, who was busy coding, and asked, what is an instance dungeon? Instance dungeon. You're asking about the online game Instance Dungeons. From a professional viewpoint, an instance dungeon is a place that provides generous equipment, items, and resources to gamers. It's different from normal game or scene areas. I'll let you watch some videos. These are the videos on instance dungeons from World of Warcraft. You may use it as research for your understanding. The screen before Sherlock showed various videos on instance dungeons. Is this the instance dungeon from the Otherworld's online game? Sherlock viewed various games' video channels. Some of the videos were narrated by the Otherworld's gamers. Sherlock held his arm and pondered before saying, though I don't understand a lot of the terms, I find the way they played the games interesting. I roughly understand the gamers' tastes. It seems like the notorious leader of the Hound Headmen like Cramer isn't enough to whet their appetite. Sherlock thought for a few minutes. Then he took out a pen and paper and started writing. Respectable Professor Bacon, Academic Deputy Director of the Spectre College. I am sorry to impose on you while you're helping those poor female students. I'm Lord Sherlock from Eternal Kingdom. I have thought of a way for you to appear. It had been 3 days since the end of the Winterfell Dungeon Lord Experience Sharing Conference. Though the gamers were discussing excitedly in the forum, the 100 beta gamers decided to further the plot. They decided to conquer the Spider's Lair. As the first released area in the game, the Spider's Lair had been a difficult area to conquer. Many gamers were in fear of the spiders. Later, there was the appearance of the boss, Kramer, who massacred the gamers. With the gamers' teamwork, they conquered the terrifying Kramer. After Kramer was defeated, there were many new plots and even a hidden mission, the Winterfell Dungeon Lord Experience Sharing Conference. Though only 3 gamers were selected for this hidden mission, they witnessed the immensity of the outside world. Not We Are Inkpants posted the details of the hidden mission on the official forum, causing many gamers to speculate about Eternal Kingdom's worldview and background story. Deep within the Spider's lair was the Spider Queen, which was the first designated boss in the game. The gamers looked forward to defeating the Spider Queen so that they could discover new plots. Moreover, the Spider Queen's hair was one of the things sought after by Shalai. Perhaps there would be another hidden plot. As such, the excitement of conquering the Spider's lair reached a new high. The gamers' combat skills were being honed. With the help of Brew and Moros, the gamers' skills improved by leaps and bounds. The gamers discovered tips about improving their equipment, like when seeing Simba at work, volunteer and help. When Simba is at work, do not disturb him, and don't speak nonsense to Simba. Especially the third point, the gamers who spoke more nonsense to Simba or harassed him had an incredibly low chance of improving equipment. When Peasant was improving his level 2 short sword, he asked Simba if there was a mission for him. Simba threatened to break his short sword, saying, "One more word from you, and I'll destroy your sword." With such good tips, it was foolish to antagonize Simba. If the gamers made Simba angry, they deserved to lose their swords. Because of the previous factors, the gamers' progress of conquering the Spider's lair accelerated from loitering at the entrance to clearing out a large safety zone. Using it as a stronghold, they ventured deeper into the Spider's lair. Another big piece of news was that while normally gamers formed a team of 3 to hunt spiders, Arthur managed to kill a spider one-on-one using 3 pieces of Kramer's equipment. The discussion forum exploded with many topics, and many gamers tried to mimic Arthur's feat. All attempts ended in failure. Burning Kister was one of them. He wielded one of Kramer's weapons, Kramer's dagger, while he was armed with Eternal Kingdom's shield and armor that were improved to level 4. He was challenging a spider cautiously while the other gamers watched from a hidden location. If the gamers were too close, the spider might escape in fear. When faced with a single goblin, the spider had no intention to flee. Though the spiders were hunted daily, with their low intellect, they didn't have the intelligence to figure out the capability of the goblins. Burning Kister regulated his breathing, which was something taught to him by Moros in his first class. To survive in a life-or-death situation, the goblin had to master his breathing. Burning Kister wasn't in a life-or-death situation. Instead, the spider had many injuries after being stabbed many times. The advantage of the dagger was that it was small and convenient. If the goblin was able to get close to the spider, he was able to stab many times. As the dagger was lighter, the attack speed was higher than a short sword. Though the damage wasn't as high as the short sword and hammer, it was as high as 0-25. A fully improved Eternal Kingdom short sword only had 0-15 damage. With such high damage, it was a different feeling to stab the spider with the dagger. There was no way to verify that the 0-25 dagger was more destructive than the hiltless short sword with 0-15 damage. It was a joy to stab, and the dagger created confidence. Burning Kister wasn't complacent, as he didn't have 3 pieces of legendary equipment like Arthur. Arthur had a plate legging, a short sword, and a breastplate. With the 3 pieces of legendary equipment, as long as the head wasn't stomped by the spider's leg, the goblin was safe. But for Burning Kister, he only had a piece of level 4 armor. If he didn't parry with his shield, his body armor could only take a hit. If his armor took a second hit, he would be mortally wounded. Burning Kister could feel that the hit points of the spider were dwindling. Though he couldn't see the hit points, after killing so many spiders over these few days, he could feel it. The spider charged at Burning Kister. He also charged at the spider with a cool slide as he raised up his dagger in an attempt to slit open the belly of the struggling spider. He was fast and looked cool. As he neared the spider's leg, he didn't panic, and there was no fear. The spider's leg penetrated his skull and nailed him to the ground. Burning Kister perished. It was that close, but he failed again. It's a pity. Chester's solo kill was harder than Arthur's. It's a pity it failed. What a pity. Try again next time. He fought the spider for 2 hours. Such a pity. Let's go and recover the corpse. I wonder if Shalai can revive him with his smashed head. The 4 gamers finished off the struggling spider. They then dragged Burning Kister's corpse and the spider's carcass happily back to Eternal Kingdom. The gamers didn't know that their actions were being observed by a superior devil and the skeleton looked hidden in the shadows. Bacon gazed at the scene with his empty eye sockets and gaped for a long time. Bacon was summoned by Sherlock to Eternal Kingdom secretly. Sherlock accepted his teleport request after he closed the dungeon core main hall. Then he used his mana to make both of them invisible before sneaking into the spider's lair to observe. After a long time, Bacon said with a tone of disbelief, "These goblins were they trained by you? How many of these combat goblins do you have? Though they are a bit weak, they are perfect for our graduating students. Do you have 1,000? With these goblins, I would need 1,500 of them to be cannon fodder, to complete the graduating research. Don't worry about the numbers. As long as Professor Bacon feels that they are suitable, and as long as there's payment of magic stones, the quantity of goblins is not a problem," Sherlock assured him solemnly. "What about combat skills quality? Are they like the goblins just now?" Professor Bacon sounded worried. "I've already discussed this with you. You have to investigate and test the capabilities of the goblins according to our discussed method," Sherlock said. "Yes, I'll do the testing, but is it necessary? Lord Sherlock recommended the poor students gather in place and allowed me to help them complete their studies, and while I'm very grateful, this matter is embarrassing. I don't have any drama performance experience. Should we get a professional actor?" Professor Bacon looked hesitant. A professional actor wouldn't have the capability. Professor Bacon is more suitable. Enough discussion. Since they're online, since they haven't slept, let's start the show. Sherlock looked at Professor Bacon and said. On a grey mud stump, the hound-head man looked around warily as his nose sniffed about. In the labyrinth-like spider's lair, the smell of goblins pervaded the air, and the hound-head man felt uneasy. 10 days prior, a group of goblins appeared in the normally peaceful spider's lair. Initially, these goblins were food for the spiders, and they came in mad hordes. The hound-head men tribe benefited from the extra food source, though not for long. The predator and prey switched roles within a few days. The spiders faced extinction as their numbers dwindled, and the goblins ventured deeper into the spider's lair and disrupted the hound-head men's lives. The most important thing was that the hound-head men didn't have enough food. The young hound-head man didn't know anything after that. He only knew that the leader left, the elder left, and the strong warriors left, and that they never came back. He had to hunt for food, and his prey was the goblins. And he didn't ponder the important question of why the leader, elder, and the warriors didn't come back because his low intelligence couldn't cope with such a complex question. Then he discovered a lone goblin, who could be eaten once the head was removed. The young hound-head man edged closer to the lone goblin, whose head was showing strange green words. The goblin was wearing a breastplate and plate leggings. However, it was all right since his back skull was unprotected. All the hound-head man needed to do was to club the goblin, and he would pass out. The young hound-head man was confident, and his charging speed accelerated. Suddenly, he felt something trip his leg, and he fell to the ground with a thud. He felt dizzy and nauseous. He was unable to stand up, and he heard the goblins talking. Gosh, the traps are effective. 666, the degree of freedom is too high. I'm going to brag about it on the forum. The hound-head man screamed and wanted to stand up, but he felt he was being tossed over. His neck felt cold, and he was unable to make any sounds. He saw 3 goblins staring at him before his vision became blurred. Arthur ended the hound-head man's life with a precision cut. Not Wearingpants and Sylvanus checked that the hound-head man was no longer breathing before searching around. There's nothing valuable. It's too pathetic. At least have some bronze coins. Not Wearingpants sighed with disappointment. We're better off fighting spiders. At least the materials can be exchanged for coins and reputation points or used for equipment improvement. Sylvanus was disappointed and said, we laid an ambush here for an hour, and there's only a hound-head man. If we don't venture deeper into the spider's lair, there won't be any spiders. Never. If we venture deeper, we might get lost. It wasn't easy to improve my equipment to level 4. If we all perish, I'll lose my equipment. No way. We'll form a larger expedition for safety and find the Spider Queen as soon as possible. Once we defeat this boss, I bet there will be a new plot and mission. Not Wearingpants folded his arms and said, let's go back. I'm going to post on the forum and then go offline. Sylvanus and Arthur agreed, and the 3 of them walked in the direction of the dungeon. The gamers had already left road signs and location marks in the lair. They even cleared a large space for use as a stronghold. The term stronghold was the gamer's term, and the place was meant for gamers who were in danger or needed to go offline to obtain sanctuary. Those who were lucky might encounter other resting gamers who could help out. Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom was a virtual reality online game with a high degree of freedom. When the goblins were outside the dungeon, there were no safety zones. The concept of the stronghold was randomly proposed by a beta gamer and promoted on the discussion forum. It was well received by other gamers. As there were only 100 gamers, it was easy to get a consensus. Not Wearingpants, Arthur, and Sylvanus didn't bother with the corpse of the hound-head man since I didn't require any hound-head men's materials. The 3 gamers decided to return to the dungeon. As they were about to leave, there was movement coming from behind. The dead hound-head man stood up trembling. His eyes were shimmering with green rays of light. What's that? Not Wearingpants was confused. I don't know, I'm a bit scared. Sylvanus squirmed her body and shifted closer to Arthur. Gosh, don't pretend to be a dainty girl. You're a rich gamer, learn the aloofness of Arthur. Not Wearingpants looked teasingly at Sylvanus, who was indignant as she replied, since when am I pretending? I'm a dainty girl born after 2000. You don't believe me? The heck I do. If you say one more word, I'll kill you. Don't smear my virtuous image in front of brother Arthur. Gosh, I almost vomited my meal from last night. If I were you, Arthur, I'd chop off her head. While Not Wearingpants and Sylvanus were bickering by Arthur's sides, the hound-head man charged forward. That fast, Not Wearingpants saw the charging hound-head man, who had greater speed than before. He instinctively raised his shield and short sword. His experience told him that things weren't so simple. This hound-head man was different from the other monsters. While Not Wearingpants was getting ready, Arthur had charged forward while swinging the Crammer's short sword. He penetrated the hound-head man's body with his sword, but the hound-head man raised his club as though he was intact. Then the hound-head man smashed the club down on Arthur's head. Arthur. As Arthur collapsed to the ground, Sylvanus shouted out like in the young idol love dramas. However, her goblin voice sounded like pigs being sent to the slaughterhouse. Sylvanus readied her short bow with an arrow in one smooth motion. Shoo! An arrow flew towards the hound-head man and struck Arthur's face. Arthur's short sword, breastplate, and plate leggings vanished after flashing with brilliant rays, leaving Arthur in shorts. An arrow was stuck in his face as he fell face up at the hound-head man's legs. He was motionless. It was obvious that he had perished. D***MN, it's so hilarious, you're killing me. Ha 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 ha, Not Wearingpants fell to the ground rolling as he guffawed. Sylvanus gave Not Wearingpants a vicious kick. She put away her bow and readied her short sword as she charged towards the hound-head man. Not Wearing Pants laughed for a while before he charged. Both of them attacked the Hound-Head Man in a pincer formation. Though the speed of the Hound-Head Man had become faster, the gamers were prepared, and the Hound-Head Man collapsed to the ground once again. The skeletons left by the spiders started to stand up. Their eyes were filled with a green light. What's that? New monsters? There are too many of them. Let's run. Not Wearing Pants and Sylvanus dragged Arthur as they fled. Not Wearing Pants took 2 steps before returning to drag the Hound-Head Man's corpse. It's so funny. Arthur was killed by you, a guy pretending to be a girl. I'll shoot you the next time. It was unintentional. Do you believe that he'll give you a good scolding? Ha 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 ha. Brother Arthur won't scold me. The teasing and bickering of the 2 gamers faded into the distance. Professor Bacon, who was at the corner conjuring the Spectre Warriors and observing the gamers, looked seriously at Sherlock and asked, Lord Sherlock, did you give the goblins drugs? No, no, no. Why would I give them combat stimulants? They went through basic combat skills training. With proper training, the goblins can be good fighters, Sherlock said while shaking his head. I don't mean that. I'm saying Professor Bacon organized his thoughts and said, they saw the Spectre Warriors, but they were fearless and even killed one of their companions. They dragged the corpses as though it was normal. They even chatted and joked while running away. Were they high from the drugs? Not Wearing Pants and Sylvanus dragged the corpses of the Hound-Head Man, Spectre Warrior and Arthur as they ran to the stronghold that was set up by the gamers in the Spider's lair. There were 10 gamers in the stronghold who were eating spider meat, resting to recover their strength, and chatting. When they saw the 2 gamers running anxiously with Arthur, whose face was shocked, they burst into laughter. Is it funny? The Hound-Head Man died once and revived, and new monsters started appearing from the sides. They look like skeletons that we haven't seen before. I guess it could be a boss. Call for reinforcements. I'm posting on the discussion forum. Sylvanus blushed from the gamers' teasing. After speaking, she laid on the ground and went offline. She had gone to the forum to create a post. When they heard about the new monsters, they climbed up and wanted to take a look. Not Wearing Pants brought the gamers to the cave where the skeletons appeared. The cave was filled densely with skeletons, and they continued to grow in number. There were a lot of bones accumulated over the years in the spider's lair. The gamers contributed their fair share over the past month. The bones were conjured by Professor Bacon to become the Spirit Legion. The gamers hadn't witnessed such a scene before, and the skeletons were frightening. They were accustomed to underground spiders, but with that many skeletons, whose eyes were beaming with green light, they started to panic. Nobody fled despite their panic. It wasn't easy to encounter such a strange phenomenon. There must be something, perhaps a hidden plot or mission. It was terrifying, but with more than 10 of them gathered together, the gamers composed themselves. Moreover, it was only a game. The skeleton soldiers on the outer perimeter discovered the gamers. They opened their mouths and, ka-cha, sounds filled the cave as they charged at the gamers. Oh my god, it's scary. Is this a horror game? Be quick, who's fighting the monster? The gamers hadn't fought with skeleton soldiers before, and they were disorganized. There was a gamer who collapsed to the ground after being scared offline. There were only 5 skeleton soldiers, and they didn't have any weapons. They used their bones or the stones on the ground as weapons as they charged at the gamers. One of the skeletons was a dire wolf. The mouth had sharp fangs that made this skeleton more threatening than the normal humanoid skeletons. The gamers were fully armed with shields, weapons, and armor. Though they screamed and were terrified by the skeleton soldiers, they gained courage in greater numbers. They had 10 of them versus 5 skeleton soldiers. The gamer charged at the skeleton soldiers and slashed wildly. The fighting alerted the other skeleton soldiers, and more of them made their way to the commotion. The gamers realized their predicament. They shouted to each other before fleeing. On the discussion forum, Sylvanus made a post entitled Undead Monsters Appearing in Spider's Lair. Call for all beta gamers to rally. The post created a sensation on the forum. The chain reaction was that the gamers who were carrying bricks went out in force, except for the offline gamers and a pro-life gamer who was planting at the flower bed. The gamers marched out together, leaving only 4 NPCs in the dungeon. Moros made use of the opportunity to chat with Simba and Mufazza at the blacksmith shop, as they appeared more normal than the goblins. Even the useless little fairy, who lay on the bed daily and spat saliva at the gamers who harassed her, appeared more normal than the goblins. 2 blackened dwarves and a gnome sat in the blacksmith shop, enjoying a cup of bloody chrysanthemum tea and a slice of moose spider leg cake. They gazed in the direction the goblins left and heaved a sigh of relief. Another peaceful day in the Eternal Kingdom dungeon. Killing, more killing. Every gamer was surrounded by 1 or 2 skeleton soldiers, and more skeleton soldiers started coming in. When the gamers who were carrying bricks rushed to the spider's lair, the 10 gamers who were defending the stronghold were being chased out by the skeleton soldiers. Other gamers in the spider's lair were also being chased out by the undead forces. The gamers consolidated their forces and fought a terrible battle with the skeleton legion. The gamers were brave, but they quickly retreated. It wasn't that the gamers couldn't defeat the skeleton legion. While the skeleton soldiers had greater numbers, most of them were without armor and weapons. The skeleton soldiers would use their bone fists to hammer the gamers' chests, while the wild beast skeletons that had teeth stood by the side and watched. The gamers retreated because they didn't want to fight. It was risky to fight the skeleton soldiers. If they were surrounded, they couldn't run away, and then they would lose their equipment. The situation wasn't clear, and they didn't want to kill the skeleton soldiers blindly. There were no reputation points and no loot. If there were reputation or coin rewards, then the gamers would be willing to kill skeleton soldiers daily. The gamers retreated from the skeleton soldiers, who were unable to catch up with them. The skeleton soldiers didn't pursue the gamers, wandering around in the spider's lair instead. The gamers gathered and did a roll call. Besides a gamer whose face was badly beaten by the skeleton soldiers, there were no casualties. What's the situation? This is a bug. Is there going to be a new map? Did someone unravel a plot? The gamers started discussing. Before they figured out what was happening, nobody wanted to fight with the skeletons. At this instance, the cave was filled with a gust of cold wind, and it sounded like a whistle. Dark mana gathered from all directions towards the spider's lair entrance. The gamers hadn't seen such effects before, and they stared wide-eyed at the strange phenomenon. Gosh, that's awesome. Looks like Hollywood special effects. The game producers are awesome. Did someone unlock a plot? Sylvanas, did you discover good stuff? Could you keep quiet so that I can watch the plot? The group of gamers chatted incessantly. The dark mana gathered and formed a cloaked man with dark smoke. The man was covered entirely by the cloak, and his face was indiscernible. Only 2 green rays shot out like some hellish flames from within the cloak. Small and lowly goblins, you dare to challenge the devil from the void. The devil's voice was deep, muffled, and hoarse, as though it was emitted from a box. The cloaked man appeared in an environment that screamed, I am a boss. The gamers started to chat loudly. Shasterisk T, this is the first boss with dialogue. That's strange. Incredible. It seems like after defeating the terrifying Kramer, we are going to save the world again. This is hilarious. You are so entertaining. I told you that you had unraveled some plot. The special effects of the boss's appearance were incredible. It's a pity that the special effects of the surrounding scene weren't as good. A large group of skeleton soldiers. Could it be a calamity brought by the departed souls? How do we fight? How do we fight? How do we fight this boss? Let's strip out of our equipment and send in a wave of cannon fodder to check out his skills. I'm going offline soon. Don't kill the boss that fast. Wait for me. Don't worry, we fought for a few days to defeat Kramer. This boss looks more powerful than Kramer. We don't even know if we can fight it. Perhaps it's just a plot boss to whet our appetite. Gosh, that's right, this boss looks powerful. The gamers chatted wildly in front of BA, Menorth, Con. Some even stripped out of their armor and pants. BA, Menorth, Con was stunned by what he saw. A stone hit his cloak, and he turned to see the invisible Sherlock giving hints with his lips. Make haste, BA, Menorth. Con recovered himself and continued to speak using his previous voice. I am BA, Menorth, Con. I'm here to destroy your paltry world. You are all dispensable. Sherlock coordinated by exerting his dominance so that the gamers couldn't move. It was like being immersed in a plot with a restriction on moving. The hand of BA, Menorth, Con gathered a ball of dark mana that became dark rays and shot towards the gamers. Before the gamers could react, dark rays appeared in front of them. A tall figure suddenly appeared among the gamers. His huge devil wings extended, and a magical barrier engulfed all the gamers. The dark rays collided with the magical barrier and created scintillating effects and a static noise. Sherlock lifted his hand, and his figure appeared godlike in the lighting effect. He was resolute and commanded the gamers, keep close to me. Citizens of the Eternal Kingdom. I will shield you. After Sherlock's command, none of the gamers moved. They were restrained by Sherlock's dominance, and they focused on watching the plot animation. As the dark rays collided with the magical barrier and created multicolored sparks and realistic sound effects, the tall, cloaked BA, Menorth, Con advanced toward Sherlock and spoke in a deep, eerie devilish voice, Sherlock. Just as I thought, you were here. I detected your odor long ago. Sherlock was in agony as he shouted dramatically, no. My power is being drained. The magical barrier became weaker and weaker. The dark magical beam penetrated the barrier and pounded Sherlock. Die, Sherlock, you can't stop me this time. The dark magical beam from BA, Menorth, Con's hand pounded Sherlock continuously. The brilliance from the magical contact almost engulfed Sherlock. Ah, Sherlock howled in agony as he knelt on one knee and supported himself with a hand on the ground. He looked extremely vulnerable, and he shouted to the gamers, help me. Citizens of the Eternal Kingdom, stop him. Stop BA, Menorth, Con. The gamers realized that they were able to move. It wasn't known who shouted, for Shalai. For Eternal Kingdom. However, the other gamers began shouting as well. For Nko, for the equipment. For the world, for Azeroth. For Mad Cook name, Wah. D***MN, it's only a plot boss, could you stop yelling? There's no loot for fighting a plot boss. Haven't you played online games before? The gamers screamed at the top of their lungs as they charged at BA, Menorth, Con. BA, Menorth, Con was dumbstruck and backed up. He had lots of experience, but he hadn't seen a bunch of fearless goblins charging at him. He composed himself and shouted, pathetic goblins, do you think you can stop me? I came from the void, I am BA, Menorth, Con. Once the word Con was uttered, a gust of magical wind blew from BA, Menorth, Con's body and made them fall all over the place. The gamers steadied themselves and charged ignominiously at BA, Menorth, Con. The 100 goblins were armed with short swords as they charged wildly. Though BA, Menorth, Con was tall, he wasn't as tall as Sherlock. The gamers were at the height of his thigh, which created a serious problem. The gamers who were on the outer rim were unable to slash at BA, Menorth, Con. If BA, Menorth, Con was tens of meters tall and tens of meters wide, then the gamers would be able to form a circle and slash at him. However, only 6 to 7 gamers were able to surround him. The second ring of gamers had to stab at his knees or thighs through the first ring. The third ring of gamers could only stab at the first ring of gamers through the second ring of gamers. Each stab drew fresh blood all over the place, and the gamers wailed. Shasterisk T. Who are you stabbing? Could you look where you're stabbing? You've stabbed your allies. D*MN it. Stop stabbing. The boss didn't attack us. We've killed a few of our allies. D*MN. Did you stab me? Could you attack the boss? Why did you attack your own people? He stabbed me first. Idiot, didn't we vow to be united? Why are you bickering? If you continue bickering, I'll hang all of you on the tallest tree on top of the Yellow Mountain. Those who killed allies should die first. Yes, why are you creating trouble out of nothing? Yes, KKP, this is hilarious. What the heck, I'm not fighting anymore. D*MN, ha ha ha, it's so hilarious that I can't hold my sword properly. Ha ha ha. Before BA, North, Con, tens of goblins were in chaos. A few goblins were stabbed to death. A gamer at the back lay on the ground and laughed while tossing around. A few goblins at the front threw their swords away and wrestled with each other. Every goblin was shouting and screaming. BA, North, Con's ears were filled with incessant noise. BA, North, Con felt someone cutting his toe. He lowered his head and saw a goblin whose head showed the strange words burning Kister. The goblin was holding a broken dagger as he sprawled on the ground with one hand acting as a support. He was trimming BA, North, Con's toenails. Another goblin stepped on burning Kister's back in the chaos, but he didn't move at all. He was focused on trimming BA, North, Con's toenails. As he trimmed, he shouted, horizontal slash, berserker strike, horizontal slash, berserker strike. BA, North, Con stood dumbfounded while lifting his hand to create the magical beam that shot at Sherlock's body. Though the gamer slashed at him, there was no damage. The gamers couldn't even damage his cloak that was protected by magical defenses. The gamer slashed for a period of time while Sherlock encouraged them. A minute later, BA, North, Con conjured a magical wind that blew away the gamers surrounding him. Sherlock exerted his dominance, and the gamers were unable to move or speak. To the gamers, they had entered another plot animation. Thank you for your help, citizens of the Eternal Kingdom. My power has come back. Sherlock stood up as his black mantle expanded and dispersed BA, North, Con's dark beam. BA, North, Con backed up and shouted, no, this is impossible. BA, North, Con, you won't be successful. Sherlock walked towards BA, North, Con and said, the citizens of Eternal Kingdom will stop you. Sherlock jumped high up and transformed into a black magical block that smashed on BA, North, Con. There were bright lights and loud banging sounds. Under Sherlock's magical attack, the ground formed a pit. When everything was quiet, the thick matter became small particles that floated in the air like black snowflakes that scattered down. BA, North, Con stood beside the pit and was unharmed. He trembled, and he said in a trembling voice, Sherlock, I'll be back. Nobody could stop us. You can't stop us. His body became blurred, and he vanished. The skeleton soldiers behind him fled back into the spider's lair. When the ruckus ended, Sherlock revived the gamers' corpses and said exhausted, thank you, citizens of the Eternal Kingdom. No, you're all heroes. Without your support, I won't be able to stop BA, North, Con. Sherlock walked out of the pit and said, I know you have a lot of questions, but I need to rest. Once I've recovered, find me in Eternal Kingdom. I'll tell you the details. After speaking, Sherlock stood up and walked towards Eternal Kingdom. His body became blurred before he vanished. Gosh, what is this? I suppose it's a new main plot. Let's return to Eternal Kingdom. The plot's too exciting. I'm going to make a post on the forum. It's a good chance to gain experience points. The gamers left the spider's lair entrance and walked in the direction of the Eternal Kingdom. Sherlock made himself invisible as he and Bacon watched the gamers leave. Sherlock said to Professor Bacon, it was hard on you, Professor Bacon. Here, this is another Winterfell gathering place for pretty and poor female students. The address is on this piece of paper. Sherlock handed Bacon a piece of paper. Lord Sherlock, you are extremely responsible towards the poor female students. Don't worry, I'll help these poor female students. Bacon wiped his invisible tears and kept the piece of paper. Professor Bacon put the piece of paper from Sherlock in his pocket and exhaled before saying, I thought Lord Sherlock was going to kill me. You only needed to use a simple illusion. That was for dramatic effect. Apologies for scaring Professor Bacon. Sherlock waved his hand. It was hard on you, Lord Sherlock. You have to play these games with the goblins, to be honest. It's shameful. Bacon's cheekbones blushed. You might not believe me. They're like my family members. As long as they are living well, I'm not bothered whether it's shameful or not. Yes, what do you think of the goblins becoming the competence for the clichés? Sherlock exhaled and said. Lord Sherlock, this batch of goblins are pretty good, though their brains don't seem right. As competence for the graduating clichés, I mean research assistants, there's no problem. Brains aren't required as long as they can fight and are fearless. The goblins have proved themselves worthy. Don't you worry, Bacon nodded and said. Professor, I'm relieved. Since the goblins are qualified, can we discuss the details of the graduating research? Let's go to my office, Sherlock said as he made Bacon invisible. Of course, both of them chatted as they strolled to Eternal Kingdom. The gamers returned to Eternal Kingdom in a hurry. They chatted excitedly about the plot animation along the way. Lord Sherlock had said that he would tell everyone the details once they returned to the dungeon. The gamers returned to the dungeon happily and looked for Sherlock. When they saw him, Sherlock said a large word, "Shh," and they were puzzled. Sherlock said, "Once I recover my power, I'll tell you." Then he shut the dungeon core main hall. Sherlock was busy discussing the graduating research with Professor Bacon, so he was unable to tell stories to the gamers. To deal with the gamers' questions, Brew announced a full-service mission. Full service mission, protect the vulnerable devil Lord Sherlock. Mission description, after the battle with B.A. Menorth, Con, Lord Sherlock is very weak. B.A. Menorth, Con's evil legion could attack Eternal Kingdom anytime. Heroes of the Eternal Kingdom, take up your weapons and protect devil Lord Sherlock. Please note that gamers are not able to request revival during the mission period. Mission reward, those who carry out the daily construction mission will receive double rewards. All the gamers went into an infrastructure madness as they carried bricks diligently. What about the main plot mission? It was all right, let Sherlock rest for a while. The gamers mined ore with their pickaxes diligently. They carried the ore stones and cut the stone slabs to cover the ground in order to complete the construction missions and earn double rewards. In the dungeon core main hall, there was a table with original wood color and 2 wooden stools. It wasn't poor, it was simple. Bacon wasn't used to such an environment. He sat on the stool and placed both of his hands on the table. He tapped the table with his finger bones. Sherlock brewed a cup of bubbling crimson chrysanthemum tea and sat down. Thousands of clichés graduate annually. For the past tens of years, the college hasn't been able to recruit enough manpower, so tens of thousands of clichés have been unable to graduate. Every graduating lich has to prepare his own Spectre warrior and obtain the approval of the examiner to graduate. They are rather strict rules. No wonder your college is the most famous Spectre college. With so many students, it isn't easy to determine their combat power. Professor Bacon nodded and said, the biggest problem is an insufficient number of combatants. As such, the college wishes to sign the collaboration agreement as soon as possible. Because it's the graduation season, and yet there's not much progress, the college is getting worried. If the goblins could make it to our college as soon as possible. Bacon felt his words inappropriate. It was as though he was hurrying the goblins to their death. He explained, I know we should give some time for the goblins to bid farewell to their families. However, considering the cost of the college, if a student's graduation is delayed one day, the operating cost will increase. In addition, the accumulation of students waiting to graduate is a smear to our college's reputation. Currently, it's the golden period for the development of dungeons, and every dungeon is in urgent need of a lick. If we can sign the agreement earlier and begin the graduation examination, that would be perfect. I understand, I fully understand. As the top Spectre college in the Northern Underworld, I will fully support your school. I don't have any problem here. We can sign the agreement now, Sherlock said. I have a small question. Are you only recruiting 1,000 combatants? You said just now that there are tens of thousands of clichés waiting for graduation. You are saying Bacon's empty eye sockets lit up as he leaned forward. 1,000 combatants won't be enough if they are all killed, Sherlock said solemnly. Professor Bacon was stunned, and he said, This is a problem. We can't make things difficult for you. Obtaining 1,000 goblins from you is already difficult for you. If I demand more, it might attract the attention of the Underworld Labor Union. Will Lord Sherlock get into trouble? Don't worry, why would I be affected? This is something the goblins chose. I've said that the goblins have ideals and dreams. They don't wish to live in mediocrity. They would rather perish in a valiant battle that is appropriate for their dream and honor, Sherlock said. He was in a generous mood. Your college and I will help them complete their dreams with a heavy heart. Lord Sherlock, I'm touched. You're the new generation philanthropist, Professor Bacon said excitedly. I don't deserve to be mentioned. My efforts are a notch below Professor Bacon. Sherlock waved his hand modestly as he said, My intention is simple. Your college has many graduating students, while my goblins are eager to start their adventure. Shall I undertake the entire graduating research? We'll go according to the head count instead of fixing a number. I guarantee that it will be lower than your estimation. Of course, to protect the college's interest, I won't get inferior goblins to participate in the graduating research so that I can reap profits from their death, Sherlock said. The goblins will go through a strict selection process to become combat-fit goblins. That will reduce casualties and the cost to the college to a minimum. All these terms can be included in the agreement so that the college will have a peace of mind. That's great, Lord Sherlock. You are the epitome of justice, Bacon said. This is not an insult. I hope that you don't misunderstand me. Understand, I understand. Sherlock lifted his hand and said, If the college has no other issues, we'll discuss the details in the agreement. After checking, we can sign the agreement. For the Spectre warriors summoned by the clichés, will they have their own equipment? Yes, but not much. Most of the skeleton soldiers don't have any equipment. Is there a problem? Professor Bacon was puzzled. Oh, if the goblins defeat the Spectre warriors, can their equipment be the reward for the goblins? Professor Bacon understood Sherlock's intention and said, I understand Lord Sherlock's intention. The equipment prepared by the students isn't expensive, and there's no problem giving it to the goblins as a reward. There's no such precedence, but Lord Sherlock has helped us tremendously, so we can agree to this request. What about the students' opinions? We'll deal with the students' opinions. Don't worry. What about the equipment left by the goblins? Lord Sherlock, it will be returned intact. Sherlock and Bacon looked at each other and smiled. Bacon's face appeared happy as both of them finalized their initial agreement. Sherlock smiled as he said, Let's discuss the details. Normally, a lich and a competent would fight one-on-one. However, as the goblins are far inferior to the gnomes and orcs in terms of anatomy, I suggest that 2 clichés fight against 5 goblins in an instance dungeon setting. 2 clichés against 5 goblins? Instance dungeon. Bacon was puzzled. I'll explain it to you. Sherlock and Professor Bacon finalized their initial agreement. Professor Bacon had a deeper understanding of the request to package the graduating research as a heroic conquest of an instance dungeon. They even discussed the details of the instance dungeon plot. Professor Bacon used the teleport scroll to return to Winterfell. He had promised to bring the agreement contract and his workers 3 days later. Sherlock would be the representative for the goblins in the agreement with the Spectre College. The workers would be in charge of constructing the teleport portal. The Spectre College had provided a specific location for the graduating research. As Sherlock had agreed to supply the goblins to solve the problem of the graduating clichés, spending a few tens of thousands of magic stones on building a teleport portal was a small matter for the college. It would help the goblins arrive quickly at the graduating research training grounds. There were tens of thousands of graduating clichés, and a similar number of goblins was required. Would the college provide the teleport scrolls? And deploy a lick with teleport scrolls to Eternal Kingdom as a teleport specialist? No matter the method, the cost would be high. It was better to install the teleport portal and do Lord Sherlock a favor. A few tens of thousands of magic stones was a paltry sum to the Spectre College. It charged high fees and provided a premium education. This teleport portal was linked to Winterfell and not Spectre College. Winterfell was the teleport interchange in which the goblins could be teleported to Spectre College. As Spectre College had only contacted Sherlock recently, there was no reason to open its school to a dungeon governed by a superior devil. Winterfell was different. It was a neutral town of the Merchant Alliance. It was perfectly safe. To ensure timely teleportation, the Spectre College rented a teleport portal in Winterfell for a specialized fast lane. Sherlock was good with the arrangement as he didn't have to use teleport scrolls to travel to Winterfell in the future. After sending off Bacon, Sherlock looked at the diligent gamers before browsing the discussion forum, which was filled with posts by the beta gamers. Not We Are Impants wrote a post titled, Shalai's plot is awesome, all other games' cutscenes were inferior. The post attracted tens of thousands of replies. Though it wasn't the most popular post, it attracted Sherlock's attention. Sherlock opened the post, and the beginning was Not We Are Impants' symbolic greeting. Greetings everyone, it's me, Not We Are Impants. It has been a week since I wrote the strategy guide on grammar. Recently, there have been great changes in the plot. Those gamers who were offline and non-beta gamers who weren't able to witness it, it's alright, I have many screenshots for your viewing pleasure. Picture, picture, picture. The special effects are awesome compared to the previous games that I have played. The game has a 100% true-to-life animation that has a shocking effect. It is as though I am immersed in the Harry Potter universe. I would say the special effects are even better than Harry Potter. We will discuss the game plot. We found many skeleton soldiers in the spider's lair. Sylvanas posted a call to arms, and many gamers gathered in the spider's lair. Then we were shown the plot animation. That is correct, it is the Void Devil BA, North, Con. Picture, there were a lot of us, and we weren't able to move during the animation. Of all the screen captures, this is the best one. Please bear with it. The mysterious BA.Menorth.con is the first boss with dialogue and is on par with Sherlock's power. BA, Menorth, Con looked pretty cool. We only have the following information on BA, Menorth, Con. 1. He is a boss with hit points. Though we didn't kill him, we will definitely fight him in the future. Everyone get ready to obtain BA, Menorth, Con's liege. 2. He knows Shalai, but their relationship isn't good. He is on par or even higher than Shalai's level. 3. His goal is to destroy the Underworld, but he is being stopped by Shalai. This might be a contrived plot, so it won't be discussed. 4. 2 of his abilities are known. The first one is to summon skeleton soldiers. In the fight with BA, Menorth, Con, they didn't come and help. The second one is to create a magical dust to blow the gamers all over the place. It didn't cause any damage to us. As this is a plot boss fight, the abilities are for consideration only. I'm not sure what his actual abilities are when we fight him in the dungeon. This is what we gathered about BA, Menorth, Con. After defeating BA, Menorth, Con, we got to know about a new plot mission from Shalai, but we will only get the details after Shalai has recovered his power. As Shalai hasn't recovered, the plot is currently unable to continue. As for when the plot will continue, we have to wait for updates, which are frequent during the beta testing. In the next encounter with the plot boss, could everyone please refrain from attacking our own gamers? Shalai's plot is really awesome. Please take a look at the pictures as my words are unable to express the awesomeness. I am sending Shalai's pictures. Picture, picture, currently, there are double rewards for the missions. I will hurry back to carry more bricks. Farewell. Dragon taking flight, the pictures show that the producers are paying a lot for the special effects. Invincible stronghold, imaginative Lich King attacks the sacred nuptial light. Dark sky, when Shalai was vulnerable, should you not have stabbed him? What if he has loot? High altitude rain, the previous poster is smart. Why did I not think of it? Young dragon, this is hilarious. Is the chester in the picture a pedicurist? Lang Ge Li Ge Lang, D asterisk MN, its allies, stop. Manual comedy. Seafood shaved ice, wait, did anyone discover the front and end name of the boss combines into bacon? Perhaps it's an Easter egg. Nuclear beard, gosh, you found a blind spot. Equals. As Sherlock was browsing the posts, Bruce said, Lord Sherlock, the Civilization series has completed its download. That fast? It has been 50 hours already. Let me see. Sherlock closed the discussion forum and uncompressed the zip file. He installed the game and started Civilization 6. After the strange opening animation, Sherlock browsed the selectable roles and chose the Kin Emperor, who looked like a capable human leader. He clicked on the quick start button. Isn't Lord Sherlock starting as a beginner? Isn't this your first time playing this type of game? Brew had some experience. It's too troublesome. I'll learn as I go along, Sherlock said confidently as he looked at the game graphics and followed the step-by-step tutorial to move his units. He noticed the words at the bottom right corner next turn. Sherlock clicked on it. Lord Sherlock, Lord Sherlock. It's time, Brew shouted to Sherlock. What? The opponent finished constructing the wonder of the world. Impossible, I've calculated that I'm faster. Brew said immediately, Lord Sherlock, the creatures from Spectre College have arrived. It's the third day today. Today is the third day. Sherlock lifted his head and saw the gamers working diligently outside. A few gamers bought beds and private land from Brew. During this period of time, Brew took over Sherlock's job. Sherlock was dazed. Why did time pass so fast? He felt he had only clicked a few next turn buttons. Lord Sherlock, the Spectre College is constructing the teleport portal in the dungeon, and it will take at least 2 days. During this time, I suggest offline maintenance. They are different from the Winterfell workers. Most likely, they are mana-skilled lichés. If they come in contact with our gamers, there could be issues. I'll explain offline maintenance to you. Sherlock agreed to Brew's suggestion. He could focus on the main plot, background story, and the instance dungeon updates. The gamers received Brew's system announcement. Offline maintenance notice. The game will carry out offline maintenance and upgrade the functions in the new version. The gamers are to go offline within half an hour to prevent data loss. Gosh, offline maintenance and updates. Isn't the game updated while we're online? Why is the update done offline this time? The servers were kept running for a month. If the servers aren't maintained, won't they overheat? Not bad, it's better than annexed servers, since there's only offline maintenance once a month. How long is the maintenance? Is there a notice on the official website? Let's go offline. Go, go, go. Let's go to our residential area to go offline. The residential area was designated by Sherlock and could be sold to gamers at 1 silver coin per 2 square meters. Every gamer was only allowed to purchase a private land of 2 square meters. This was to cater to their requirement for privacy so that they could place a bed and even a private storage box. Sherlock originally intended to purchase a 7 to 8 story bed for everyone to use. It could save space, improve land usage efficiency, and improve the gamers' relationships. Perhaps some bedroom culture as well, though they didn't move when they were offline. Sherlock couldn't help recalling his 90 years of voluntary education, which was his youthful period. Lord Sherlock, everyone is offline. Those who went offline were forced offline. While Sherlock was reminiscing about his youth in his school period, Brew interrupted him. Sherlock gazed outside the dungeon core main hall, and only a handful of goblins lay outside sleeping. Most of the goblins had gone to the residential area to go offline. The residential area was way past the blacksmith shop and the carpenter workshop around the corner. It was a newly excavated space, so Sherlock was unable to see it from his location. Sherlock walked out of the dungeon core main hall. It was dead quiet. Sherlock wasn't used to the serenity. He arranged the few goblins that were lying outside the dungeon core main hall in the corner. He saw a goblin lying on a seed bed next to the blacksmith shop. He lifted the goblin and placed the goblin in a corner. The little fairy that was squirming on a bed by the flower bed looked around in terror. She witnessed how the Devil Lord threw his citizens in a corner and heard the slamming sounds as they landed. The evil Devil Lord wasn't taking care of his citizens. How scary. Those chattering goblins who would harass her daily were suddenly possessed as they ran laughing back to their rooms to sleep. Those who didn't, the rooms fell to the ground. Even the goblin, Rainto, who was cultivating flowers, fell to the soil and never woke up. The Devil Lord must have placed an evil curse or used mana on the goblins. It was horrifying. Little Fairy curled herself into a ball. Sherlock ignored Little Fairy, who was imagining things. He cleared the gamers who were blocking the way, then he summoned Moros, Mufasa, and Simba. The 2 blackened dwarves and a gnome were curious about what had happened to the goblins. Lord Sherlock didn't intend to explain. He held his magic stone card and said to them, I'm paying your salary today according to daily rates. Let's synchronize our time so that it will facilitate the next payday. I'm giving you 2 days of leave. You may visit Winterfell or your family. You can't be working all the time. Working 672 hours per month is sufficient. I'm a generous Devil Lord. When everyone heard about their salary, what Lord Sherlock said after that wasn't important. As long as the salary was paid, it didn't matter whether one was working 996, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, 12,127, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. 7-day week, or 727, 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. 7-day week, overtime. Everyone could accept it. Why else would everyone work so hard? For love, for responsibility. It was poverty. Even if it was the Underworld, they had to eat. The period of dark hatred, bloody wars, and the destruction of the world had passed. Everyone obtained their salary happily. Sherlock generously provided a teleport scroll and sent them to the Winterfell teleport portal reception hall before returning to Eternal Kingdom alone. He started editing the background story, main plot, and the update announcement. A long time ago, the Underworld was filled with chaotic evil. The creatures were living in darkness, death, and extreme hopelessness for millions of years. Thousands of years ago, the rays of order appeared in the northern Underworld. It was an evil and chaotic underworld that was stricken with blood and inferno, the hellish end of days. a few powerful superior devils appeared. They collaborated and defeated other Chaos Devils and chased them out. After which, they built an underworld based on order. It was brutal, but according to Bruce's suggestion, the gamers loved this kind of background story. They were born with this kind of righteousness. Next was the added version plot. Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom latest version, Spectre Legion. For thousands of years, peace and order were maintained in the Underworld. But the Void Devils that were released tried to destroy the Underworld. With the leadership of the Void Devil, B.A. Menorth, Con, the Underworld was cast in the Void Shadow. The Void Devil leader, B.A. Menorth, Con, led his Spectre Legion to the vicinity near Eternal Kingdom. Though they were defeated by the heroes from Eternal Kingdom, B.A. Menorth, Con and his Spectre Legion had gained a foothold in the Underworld. Before Spectre College, there was the famous College Runelader. It had trained many notable magicians. In ancient times, Runelader chose to help the Order faction. In the battle of Chaos and Order, Runelader was completely destroyed. The previously beautiful Runelader was filled with death. It became a forbidden place for the living and a heaven for the undead. According to Eternal Kingdom's non-existing intelligence organization's intelligence, the Void Leader, B.A. Menorth, Con, returned to the battlefield and built a new Spectre College, one filled with skeleton soldiers running amok and undead clichés. Their numbers were still increasing. When would they attack Eternal Kingdom again? Or other targets? Was B.A. Menorth, Con still in the Spectre College? It was still a huge mystery. Nobody had the answer. Citizens of Eternal Kingdom, heroes of the Underworld, take up your weapons and defend our beloved Underworld. Sherlock continued editing the version update log. Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom version 0.03 update log. Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom version 0.03 update log. The new contents will be online 2 days after the maintenance. Upgraded to a new game version. Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom latest version, Spectre Legion. For details, please refer to version description. Added new attribute, close combat, long range, weapon level. The value will be calculated according to gamer's constitution, training performance, reputation level, and amount of combat experience with the weapon. The initial level is 1. Added new instance dungeon, Spectre College, training grounds, new clichés training ground. They are B.A. Menorth, Con's newly recruited clichés, the evil clutches of the Spectre Legion. They possess undead magic and control Spectre servants. They are considered the worst nightmare on the battlefield. Gamers with reputation level 2, 30,000 reputation points, and close combat, long range, weapon level 2 can enter. The minimum number of gamers is 5. Every instance dungeon boss is independent and random. Killing the instance dungeon monsters and boss will reward reputation points. Added new equipment service, instance dungeon equipment appraisal and purchase. Gamers can receive equipment as loot from Spectre College, training grounds. Gamers can bring the loot to Eternal Kingdom and spend a fixed price for loot to appraise the item, or they can exchange it for reputation points and coins. Added new equipment service, equipment redemption. Gamers who perish in Spectre College, training grounds and lose their equipment can redeem their equipment from Brew a day later using a fixed amount of coins and reputation points. The improvement level of the equipment will remain intact. Added new instance dungeon daily mission, daily exploration of Spectre College, training grounds. Eternal Kingdom requires you to explore Spectre College for intelligence and diminish the Spectre Legion's power. Killing enough Spectres 0/10 will reward coins and reputation points. Added a new area construction teleport portal. A teleport portal to Spectre College, training grounds was installed at the plaza outside the dungeon core main hall. Winterfell will be the teleport interchange. During the teleport, gamers will be unable to move around in Winterfell.